This video is for people who feel a little bit disconnected with people they care about. It's also a video for people who find it cathartic to see other people make mistakes while making art. I can promise you an unnecessary amount of costume changes and several very furry, adorable animals. If that sounds like you, oh, Bowie, come on. Well, let's just get to it. Okay, this is where most great ideas strike, sandwiched between a Dunkin' Donuts and a Taco Bell. I think I'm gonna try to see if I can get folks, like maybe mail out postcards or mail out a letter with a postcard inside and ask people to like list 20 of a thing. So like 20 animals, 20 emotions, 20 something, and write it on the front of a postcard. And so like I could have basically random tables. So if I'm trying to create something and I'm like, what's the vibe I want? I could pull out that like recipe card of randomness and then roll a d20 and then pick whatever's on there. So thinking about these topics is kind of tricky because initially I was starting with like, foundational things like animals, places, things like that. But I imagine if I got that in the mail, I'd be like, okay, and I put stuff down, and it'd be fine, and I would mail back and feel like I helped somebody. I'm trying to figure out to pick topics that are going to be fun for the people to fill out, useful, and then that doesn't feel like a whole bunch of extra work. Like I also have, superstitions I don't think I'm going to do, even though I think that would be fun, because superstitions might make someone feel like, I got to look up superstitions or something like that. And I don't want people to have to look up anything. They should just be able to fill this out and go. But I kind of want something that like maybe even inspires memories of within a person, that they just start thinking about like, I went to this one place, and I don't think the word place elicits that. But for instance, the word destination might. So I'm going to put down destinations instead of places. Like because it also gives a feeling of where do you want to go, a place worth going to. Similar to food, could put hot dog, bananas, blah, blah. Or meals, which isn't the fanciest sounding word, but when you think about a meal, that's like that's an event. It elicits like community and memories, and not just you don't picture a hot dog, you picture having a hot dog with popcorn and a soda at a baseball game or something like that. It creates an entire ambiance with it. Let's take a look at this drawing pad. Oh yeah, 1999. This was when I was a senior. And you know what a cool kid I was? I was using math to make eggs. Yeah. I actually still have this book that I was using. Yeah. Fun times. All right, this will fit, since this is a little bit more than 6 inches. We've got more than 6 inches, more than 4 inches. So if I put a Post-it note in here, it'll work. I'm gonna use these watercolors. Oh my God, art projects! Oh, this was a work project that I did forever ago, and my favorite colors. I love these colors. This is why I like leaving, should I do something with these? Probably, but I also like just kind of going, hey, look, I haven't looked at that. I seriously made this, here's a referencing, 2021, so that was a while ago. Anyway, I'll use these ones and cut them up. So I could handwrite these postcards, which would be great. I could also even print them out. That would be really fast. But sometimes you got to think about the process. And like, yes, there's these output. The goal of making this is to make these recipe cards, but the output's still uncertain. And so I want to make sure that I'm enjoying the process. Like, the creative process is one of the biggest reasons I'm doing it. And also, creating these cards is to help with making the creative process down the road more enjoyable, because I get to pull these little cards out and get inspired by them. So I'm going to use, for creating these postcards, my keyboard. Not keyboard, typewriter. God. This is a typewriter, not a keyboard. But oh God, it smells so good. And the reason to use it is because the sensory experience is fantastic. And what I'm getting with my olfactories right now is a big whiff of old used bookstore. Like 75% of the used bookstore is Westerns and Napoleonic era naval warfare novels. Like that smell, and it's so great. It's so good. So I'm going to use this to help me with typing. Because that's going to make it just more enjoyable. Like, what's the point if the process isn't fun? You know, I'm not trying to make money off of this stuff. I'm trying to just make things for fun for me. And so I need to find ways to make it more enjoyable and less tedious, especially since I have to make a ton of them. And plus, you know, using a typewriter, it feels like suddenly you're transported back in time. It does feel like going back in time. Maybe not this much, honestly. We put some perspective here. I typed my first resume on a typewriter. It wasn't as old as this one, but I did do that. So let's go to like more of a 90s vibe. There we go. Is this what I was literally going to be wearing today? Yes. I was actually in my workout clothes all morning. So switching to human clothes. I guess they're all human clothes, but anyway, yes, this is in my closet. This is also what I would wear in the 90s. Actually, this necklace with my little origami crane is something I've had my whole life, pretty much. Anyway, okay, let's start actually testing this out. And to work on this, I'm going to have, I folded initially just a piece of paper that was a scrap piece of paper into 4x6, because you got to do a little mini crappy prototype and see what's going on. And frankly, I have to just see if I can use this machine still. So let's see how this goes. Prototyping is good. So here are my first drafts. You can see I ran, the slider wasn't sliding, was having a hard time aligning because I can go all the way. Cha-ching. Then I did this one, and you could see also issues with the sliding. And not as bad over here, not so bad. And then this is my final, most recent one. You could see destinations. I do want this up on the top so it's easy to like riffle through. But even when I switched colors, that was an issue. I forgot to scooch it back. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get it aligned perfectly. And then also, it's hard to see, but the paper, I wanted thick paper so that way it'd be good as a postcard, but going through the typewriter actually is kind of banging it up. But you know, that actually doesn't bother me because we can flatten those out. And even if there's creases, that gives more of a feel. So. taking another little break from typing because now my eyes and back are slowly getting sore, which also, like, that's the reality. I think one of the biggest goals is this is very literally, I need other people to help me in order to finish this project. So creating is not a solo endeavor. And something that I've learned actually from playing Dungeons and Dragons is that some of the most enjoyable, fulfilling creation is when you can do it with others. And I don't have anybody else in this room besides my amazing, awesome pets, but creating with others can still happen. I'm going to send a letter and so many people like getting things in the mail. So what a weird random little treat. I'm not going to let anybody know about this. I'm going to send it out and see what happens. But then even afterwards, the idea of these recipe cards of randomness, random recipe cards, whatever I end up calling them, is that they're going to actually be a way for other people to influence whatever I make in the future. If I'm writing a story, illustrating something, who knows, making another campaign, I can use these cards and then, my mom, my nephew, all these different folks that I so care about can actually have an input on what I'm creating down the road, which I think would be really cool and a nice way to stay connected, especially since most of the folks I know live out of state. I don't know how many other folks are like that, where you feel a little bit disconnected. And I'm a person that feels disconnected from my family because most of them are in Nevada. A lot of the people I've made deep, meaningful relationships with are nowhere near where I live. And so this is a way that I might be able to get back that connection, uh, more than just sending them a text or, sending them messages via social media. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to be putting everything together. So once I do this, I'm going to put something on the back that basically puts my address and a little postcard, and I get to pick the postage, which is always super fun. I love picking postage. Whenever I go to the post office, I always pick up some new postage. So we'll see what things I have in the weeds there. Oh my God, cat, jeez. So everything's in the mail now. It's weird because it doesn't exist, and it is just, like it's an idea again. It's reverted to being an idea. I'm excited about it. And I'll share with y'all what happens in the end. So subscribe if you want to see part 2 or whatever. And I do think that there's something lovely about the awkwardness of making something that is clumsy. And that's so authentic. That is so genuine. And I do think that that's something we're looking for. Having something perfectly made loses that touch of humanity. So that's something that might give you a little bit more permission if you're going, oh, I want to work on something, but it's not going to be good enough. Actually, the not being good enough is the part that reminds us that someone touched this and made it and cared about it, and cared about sharing it. So that's something really cool. So go do your own thing, do something awesome. And this kitty really wants attention, so I've got to go and give her all my attention. Cute toots. Hoots, not toots.